name is Nozbusiso Dlamini. I'm a life orientation lecturer. In this module, we will be looking at how to create a safe space for students to try out the skills they have learned. Once you have introduced the lesson through icebreakers and gotten students engaged with a group activity, you need to provide them with the opportunity to showcase their new learnings through skills practice. So, how do we do this? Role plays are one of the most effective ways to teach and learn the application of life skills. They provide students with an opportunity to demonstrate what they have learned. It's important to differentiate role playing from acting. You are not testing the students' acting skills. What's more important is how they navigate a scenario through role playing. For example, let's say you've just completed a group activity on bullying. And now, in order to assess the learnings of the class, you divide them into groups and give them a scenario to role play. The scenario is, a student you don't know well keeps asking you for money and is now threatening to hurt you if you don't give them the money. Because you have already worked through the definitions and reactions to bullying with your students, this scenario provides them an opportunity to practice their skills. In this specific scenario, you would like to see students use the methodology discussed in the lesson. For example, you would like to see groups using the techniques of responding to a bully. Techniques such as tell the bully to stop, stay calm, and ask for support from others. If students include these techniques into their role play, not only have they learned from the lesson, but they have also practically displayed their learned skills. These role plays demonstrate the students' ability to solve problems by using what they have learned. However, it does require them to take on roles they ordinarily would not take on. For example, taking a role of a bully is a negative role, and you don't want students associating themselves with that role. One method of tackling this is asking students to speak directly to the class when presenting their role plays, rather than engaging with the other role players. This is useful for students to disconnect from who they are role playing, and it also makes it easier for the class to hear what they are saying. Secondly, de-role students once you have performed a scenario, especially one that features negative representations of people such as bullies, abusers, or drug addicts. So, how do you de-role students? Once the role play session has ended, you can ask them to shake off their role or get them to jump up and down saying, I am not the role I played. Don't leave students with the residue of a negative role. They are an example of a person, they are not that person, and this must be made clear to them and the rest of the class. Think of role playing as epic theatre. Epic theatre proposed that an act should not cause the spectator to identify emotionally with characters, but instead provoke rational self-reflection and a critical view of the action on stage. Role plays should not be immersive or emotional. They are there to showcase skills and learning, not to engage students emotionally. Not all students need to role play each lesson, so to save time, choose 1 or 2 groups to role play for a maximum of 2 minutes. And then have the other students write down their responses to certain scenarios with the worksheets provided. Also, don't force students who are uncomfortable to act out a role play. Rather give them a scenario and ask them for their opinion while they are still seated. It is vital to ask questions about each role play. 1. What did you learn about the situation? 2. How was the situation solved? 3. Did you learn anything about yourself? Then engage the class with questions on the role play they have just seen. Questions such as, is there another way you would have dealt with the situation? Or, how would you apply these skills to a work situation or a family situation? These kind of open-ended questions provide critical thinking and remind students that what they've role-played is not the only way a situation can play out. No situation is the same. What's important is being able to apply learned skills to a variety of different situations. So, ask your students how they would apply what they've learned in different situations. It also gives them the opportunity to realize that some approaches may not work in certain situations. For example, we've been told to tell a teacher if you're being bullied. But what do you do if the teacher is the bully, or a work colleague, or a family member? These are all similar scenarios, but they require different solutions, and role plays can help guide students towards finding those solutions. If these new scenarios can be solved, your students have succeeded in transferring their skills and applying them to different situations. Role plays allow students to problem solve. Instead of just remembering a list of how-tos, they are provided an opportunity to enact their learnings by role-playing scenarios. Role plays are effective in many ways. 1. Allow students to demonstrate what they've learned. 2. Give them an opportunity to problem solve. 3. Give them trial and error opportunities. Remember, this is only valuable to students if they are role-playing in a safe space. Remind students, whether they are role-playing or watching the role play, that the classroom is not a place of judgment. Not all role plays will end up effective, but this isn't a problem. It allows opportunity to review, relook, and try again. It is all part of the learning process, and any judgment, whether from yourself or the students in the class, is unhelpful. You can even write on a board or a flip chart. This is a safe space, reminding your students that they are allowed to make mistakes, to stumble, and importantly, allowed to relearn. Role-playing is an essential learning technique which helps students problem solve in real time. And providing a safe space for them to engage in this learning is pivotal for their development. The lesson plans have some great role-playing scenarios, so make sure to use them in your lessons. But you can always come up with your own as well. Thank you for joining me today, and remember, the more your students practice their skills, the more they learn.